This is a question you might run into. It's a will a precipitate form question. All right. And how these work is you usually have a concentration of the cation and a concentration of the anion, and it says will a precipitate form. To answer these questions, you will need the KSP for the compound you're looking at. So in this case, it's strontium chromate, SrCrO4, and it's 2.2 times 10 to the minus 5, not real big. That equals the strontium ion concentration times the chromate ion concentration. So what you can do to figure these out, there's a couple different ways, but what I usually do is I use a Q versus K comparison. My Q will look just like K. It'll be the strontium ion times the chromate, and I'll compare my Q to the KSP this time. If the Q is less than KSP, that means no solid forms. But if Q is greater than KSP, then that means a precipitate has happened. So there's all the different variants you can get into. If Q equals K, the solution is at solubility, there's no precipitate, and that's honestly pretty rare. Most of the time Q will be less than K, so there's no precipitate, and then after you get to the right point, Q will be greater than K and a precipitate forms. So we're going to use the 0.010 for the strontium, we'll use the 0.010 for the chromate, and see how this works out. So in this problem, I'm going to multiply those together and calculate Q. Q comes out to be 1.5 times 10 to the minus 4. And remember, KSP over here, 2.2 times 10 to the minus 5. Well, 10 to the minus 4 is bigger than 10 to the minus 5. Q is greater than K. So that means a precipitate forms. Strontium chromate has been made. And that's kind of a cool thing to know.
In the test tube is an aqueous solution containing ions of silver, lead, and copper. When we add chloride ions, a precipitation occurs, producing solid silver chloride and solid lead chloride. The copper ions remain in solution, indicated by the blue color of the liquid, which is decanted. We add distilled water to the test tube and heat it. Lead chloride is soluble in hot water and returns to solution. We again decant the solution in the test tube, leaving solid silver chloride. To demonstrate that the decanted solution contains lead ions, we can add chromate ions, which cause the precipitation of lead chromate. The characteristic yellow color of the precipitate confirms the presence of lead. We have separated the three ions in the original solution from each other.
This is a pretty cool video. You have a solution which is a mixture of copper 2 plus, silver plus, and lead 2 plus. And the goal is to separate and to a point identify that you have those individual metals separated into different test tubes. And it's pretty cool. So what they do is they first add a chloride, and silver plus and lead 2 plus, as we've said, react with chloride as well as bromide and iodide, and the mercury 2 plus will do this too. But anyway, they all make insoluble compounds. But copper 2 chloride, would not form under these conditions. Most of the time, chloride, bromide, and iodide are soluble. They won't form solids, and that's what happens. So once the solids are made, they decant the solution, which means gently pour off the liquid and keep the solid in the test tube to the best of your ability. So that's how they get the copper 2 plus away from the silver and the lead. All right, copper 2 plus doesn't form a compound with the chloride. So now they've got to separate the silver and the lead from each other. And what they do here is a temperature dependence. Lead 2 chloride is more soluble at warm temperature than silver chloride is. So they separate the solutions in the heat. It doesn't look like much. It looks like some of the white solid goes away. But that's enough to tell you then that the lead chloride should have been separated. So again, they decant. The lead goes into the solution side, and the silver chloride remains at the bottom. So the silver chloride now has been officially broken away from the other ones. Now, you're getting rid of the liquid. You're decanting the liquid from the silver, but do you really know you have lead? And that's a very fair question to ask. So at the end there, they added a chromate source. Lead 2 chromate makes a really cool yellow color. And in this case, as you can see, you absolutely have it. So the original test tube ended up with just the copper because it didn't react with chlorine. They then used temperature difference to separate the silver from the lead. The white compound in the middle is silver chloride. And then finally, they thought they had lead chloride, but you never can be sure, so they added some chromate. The chromate reacted with the lead, and it made the insoluble PbCrO4. So it's kind of a cool thing. This is how chemists think about separating matter from the wild. Let's pretend that we have a 0.020 molar silver plus and a 0.020 molar lead 2 plus. And what we want to do is we want to add chromate to both this combined solution. And we're going to know what we add because if you make silver chromate, Ag2CrO4, it's kind of a red color. And if you make lead 2 chromate, PbCrO4, it's kind of a yellow color. So we want to know what color are we going to see first, which precipitate will form first. And to answer all of this, we need to have KSPs. So we have 2 KSPs here, one for silver chromate, one for silver chromate, and one for lead chromate. And you can see, first of all, that the lead chromate number is smaller, 10 to the minus 14th, than the silver chromate is. Hint, hint, we'll come back to that. Now, the KSP for silver 1 chromate is going to equal silver plus times chromate. And for lead 2 chromate, that's going to equal lead 2 plus times the chromate ion, and that'll also be important. Now again, in this problem, we've got this much silver and this much lead. We can use all these informations to calculate how much chromate is required by each ion. And whatever number we get, all right, we're going to look for the smallest amount of chromate because the smallest amount of chromate will reflect on the one that precipitates out first. So it's kind of a cool thing. It's mathematically not very hard. It can be a little confusing, but it's nothing you can't do. So for the silver chromate, when you want to find the chromate, that's going to equal the KSP divided by the silver ion squared. And you can see that number there comes out to be 2.3 times 10 to the minus 8th moles per liter. And that's an important number we'll come back to here in a little bit. But it doesn't seem to be a very big number, so that's kind of neat. However, if you do the lead chromate, you end up with a chromate concentration of 9.0 times 10 to the minus 13th. And that number is much, much smaller than 2.3 times 10 to the minus 8th. So the smaller amount of chromate will precipitate first. That means that the PbCrO4 will precipitate out. As a general hint for these kind of problems, if you go back and look at the KSP, assuming the concentrations of the ions are pretty close to each other, like they're both 0.020 in this problem, almost always the smaller KSP will be the one to precipitate first. So you can see there's 10 to the minus 14th for lead 2 chromate. On the other hand, silver chromate, 10 to the minus 12. So almost always smaller KSP will be the first to precipitate, and that's what we're seeing here. That's not 100%, but it's much more often than it isn't. In this problem, we have a solution that contains both sulfite, 0.10 moles per liter, and sulfate, 0.30 moles per liter. And we're slowly adding a calcium compound into the solution. And the question is, what precipitates first, calcium sulfite or calcium sulfate? And it gives the values for the KSPs. Now, most of the time, like I said, smaller KSP will be the first one to precipitate. So you can see there that the calcium sulfite, 1.3 times 10 to the minus 8th, calcium sulfate is 10 to the minus 5, quite a bit bigger. So we would predict here, based on those numbers, calcium sulfite's probably the way to go. But wait a minute, I don't believe you, Dr. Russell. Oh, good question, random student in the back of the room. This is kind of a hand-waving way to say that, oh yeah, smaller KSP first to precipitate out. But what if you really want to make sure? All right, and that's a very fair question. So what you want to do in this case then is you want to solve for the calcium ion concentration. So both of these, KSP is going to equal the calcium times either sulfite or sulfate, depending on what you have. So if you want to solve for the calcium, which is what I did here in the answer, it's going to be the KSP divided by the ion. So the sulfite here is 0.10. That gives you the concentration of the calcium needed to make calcium sulfite. And then if you do the same same thing for the calcium sulfate. The KSP for that divided by 0.30, the concentration of calcium 8.0 times 10 to the minus 5. And you can see 1.3 times 10 to the minus 7th is a smaller number than 8.0 times 10 to the minus 5. It's going to be pretty chill for the calcium sulfite to be made. And this just proves your point as to what exactly to expect.